Gonna turn this off for the moment and I will get started. So thank you for coming this evening. I know summer is always crazy busy, but I am hoping to help a few more artists this fall. And this is one of the ways that I can help a few more artists right now too. So this is a workshop that I put together called From Artist to Artpreneur. uh, 4 practices you can start right now to move the needle in your art business. Let's see if I can make this work. So a little about me first. My name is Laura Thompson. I own Real Creative Studio here in Harrisonburg. I'm closing in on 3 years of as a full-time artist. I do fine art, I do mixed media collage. I also paint murals, I teach classes, and I have experience in marketing. A little more background. I went to JMU twice, not because I failed, but because I'm a double Duke. So I graduated with a BFA in graphic design in 2003, and then in 2014, I completed my Master's of Art Education. I've been teaching since 2003 in various capacities, both in public schools and also just in the community. I've been showing my work since around 2005, which has definitely changed over the years, as all of our work tends to. I actually started as a stained glass and fused glass artist, and I'm now doing mixed media collage. So art is a journey. Um, I have 5 years, a little more than 5 years as a creative services manager in a marketing department for a local organic food company. Um, in that role, going from public education to that role was a huge switch, but also helped me to kind of like break through some barriers in business and learn a lot about business and a lot about marketing in that time. Um, I call myself an expert efficiency and organization smith. I am one of those rare creatives who also is very left-brained as well. So I have lots of systems to keep myself organized, and I like to share those with other people if they're helpful. And then I have 2 plus, almost 3 years navigating my career as a full-time artist. So thinking about exactly like who this workshop is for, it is if you're an artist who has a distinct style, you've sort of honed your craft, and maybe you've landed on a medium or some sort of like particular way that you go about doing your process that is unique to you, or even like topics. If your subject is something like you paint animals, or you do portraiture, or your abstract expressionism or something like that. So you've kind of determined that, and you're always going to evolve, but something that you have maybe spent time doing for a while. Again, you've practiced for a while. So this is something that you didn't pick up a paintbrush yesterday and go, well, I want to go into business for myself, because that's going to be tough. You at least need to have some idea of sort of what it is that you want to know. I would suggest before you kind of dive into the business aspect of things. Although both of those things can grow at the same time. So they're not mutually exclusive, but it does help if you have something, you already have like a body of work that you can kind of go forward with. From that body of work, you have sold some of it. You don't need to have sold a lot, but really it's kind of like, proof of concept. So as an artist, if you have sold work, that means that people enjoy your work. That means that there are more people out there who will enjoy your work. Not to say that if you've never sold work that it's not possible, but it does help, again, to have that sort of proof of concept. Know that there is a collector base out there for you. You want to show your work more often and you want to sell your work more often. So that's something that we'll kind of dive into, and I'll try to help you figure out avenues to do that. And maybe you've even dreamt of doing art full time, but all of these things, but you're not really sure where to even begin. So, and that's fair. Um, there's a lot of moving pieces in any small business, and art is not immune to that. So, does this sound like you? Do you feel like you're somebody like, I'm not sure how to get my work in front of more people? Or I've looked for guidance, but there is just so much information out there and I am completely overwhelmed by options. Yes, that is very common because there's a million people doing this and telling you how to do it. And the other thing is there's not one way to do it right. So keep that in mind. I struggle to stay organized. I need systems that work for me. And I just want somebody to tell me what to do and in what order. So if any of these sound like you, then you are in the right place because I want to help you with any of those things. So, um, obviously, you're an artist, so you're a genius. And I say that like kind of in a joking way, but also the fact is that we artists have a different type of intelligence, and sometimes it's at odds with what the regular folk are doing, but we can use it to our advantage. So you might just need some help shifting your mindset so that you are thinking as more of an entrepreneur and less as an artist, which you don't want to forget. Let me be clear. There are two things that can uh, coexist. And so we need to but we need to develop the entrepreneurial mindset more if you want to go into business. You need to figure out what income streams that you want to pursue. It's not just selling art. That is works for people who are very established. But if you are trying to go full time, I'm going to caution you that that is a very difficult road to go. So, and we can talk more about that, but having more than one income stream is definitely going to be helpful. Building the foundation for your business. So, once you make the decision to say like, okay, I'm in business now. Now, what are the parts and pieces that you need to actually, the foundation of everything before you try to put yourself out there? There's a few things that are really helpful to have, so that you're not kind of scrambling every time an opportunity comes along. And then getting organized with the right tools for success. So again, just thinking through things, and you may not know what the things to think through are yet, and that's where I come in because I've had lots of things to think through, lots of things to figure out. All right, so today we're gonna kind of just we're gonna surface talk about tackling the 4 M's, and these are mindset, money, making, and marketing. These are 4 things that are really going to help you if you can kind of make a little bit of a shift today, and sort of how you're thinking about these things can really help to move the needle in your business. So, mindset is going to be really important because if you have been making art sort of casually or like a hobby, even if you're really into it, very passionate about it, but you haven't really um, considered it a livelihood, then it's really easy to be like, oh gosh, I just spent $60 on paint, or oh, I really want to take that art class, but like, I can't really afford that right now. And, I'll wait until later or whatever. So one of the things that is really important to do when you decide that you're going into business is to make the shift from personal expenses to business investments. And I don't mean that means like, oh, I just get a free pass and I can go to Dick Blick and order everything I've ever wanted. No. But if it's something you truly need in order to do a thing that is going to help make you money and make you income, then it is an investment. So an investment is like, it implies that you're going to have a return on an investment, which means that I put money into it so that I can extract more money from it. So for instance, um, a business investment for a watercolor artist is you actually need to buy frames most likely, or some sort of way to display your work professionally. And so a frame would be considered a business investment, not like, oh, I'm just framing it. I mean, if you're just framing it to put on your wall, that's fine, but that's not the same. So making sure that you're kind of thinking about those different ways that you're spending money, you have to think about them in those terms. Is one going to help me develop as an artist? Is it going to help me sell more art? That's an investment. If it's just like, I've been working really hard and I'm going to eat this donut, that might be a personal expense. But just kind of knowing the difference and making sure that you're keeping them separate, that's a whole nother thing. So also shifting from like, I hope my art sells, to actually selling your work. And I know that this is a little bit of a point of contention for a lot of artists, because it can feel kind of gross to be like, hey, buy my art. But it's not really about, like, it's not a hard sell. You're not a used car salesman, right? You are primarily sharing your art. And there are going to be people out there who connect with your art. So when they connect with your art, you want to be very clear and actually tell them like, oh, you're interested in this? If you would like to purchase it, here are the ways that you can do that. And a lot of artists I've found are just um they're a little too hesitant or timid about that. And so it's like, oh, thanks for liking my art. And then that's the end of the conversation. This person doesn't know that it's for sale, and they don't know how to purchase it if it is. So again, it doesn't have to be greasy, like forward, horrible selling, but you do need to be selling it. Okay. You can't just like hope somebody comes along. The benefactor idea, which we all dream about, where somebody discovers us and then wants to like, just support us and we can just do whatever we want, is unlikely. I hate to burst your bubble, but that's just kind of how it is these days. All right, so another one is pricing your art so you can afford it versus pricing it to make a profit. So this is so key, and it's hard, right? Because we want people to be able to afford our work. But if you are not considering the time, supplies, the vision that you have as an artist, and kind of figuring out a way to wrap that up into a nice price that actually, when you sell it, you don't feel this big loss, then you need to really consider your pricing. And pricing to make a profit it's not a bad thing. Like nobody who's in business, if you go into business and you are a water bottle manufacturer and you're not making profit off the water bottles you're manufacturing, then you are going to go out of business. So just like any other thing, like you have to be able to sustain the business, and you hopefully want to actually get some income on top of that. So just keeping things alive is not enough. And also pouring yourself and your personal income into a business is not super smart either. So making sure that the business sustains itself is going to be really helpful. And that means that you need to price your work so that you can make a profit. And that may not be at a price that you would necessarily be able to afford it. But hey, we're not buying our own work, are we? All right. And the last shift in mindset is to go from starving artist. And I do feel like that's kind of getting a little bit outdated, but the general population, Gen Pop, as some people like to call it, does, when you hear, oh, I'm an artist, like that's what people think of, right? Oh, starving artist. So we don't want to be thinking that way, because that's sort of like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if you think that in order to be an artist, you must be suffering, because Van Gogh did it and he didn't sell, but one painting in his lifetime. That is just not how things are anymore. And there are plenty of people out there, especially in the weird times that we live in, who are looking for joy and they're looking for ways to enrich their lives. And art is one of those ways. So I want you to start thinking about yourself as a thriving entrepreneur instead of a starving artist, because again, mindset shift is huge. It makes a huge difference to the way that we kind of tackle problems. All right, so the next one is money. And money is one of those things that's super uncomfortable to talk about generally, but the biggest piece of advice that I have for you is to track your art income and expenses. So this would start with, let's say, even a spreadsheet. Doesn't even have to be a separate account. Eventually, having a separate account for your business is really helpful, because then you just keep everything separate. You don't have to be sifting through your statements or whatever. But making sure that you're keeping track of those things helps you to make better choices in the future, right? So I looked back on my first year of full-time artistry and found out that my biggest source of income was murals. So that was what I went heavy into the next year. It was like, okay, well, I need to find more mural jobs. So then it's, a matter of getting yourself out in the community, telling people what you're doing, talking to anybody and everybody who will listen about that thing that you want to do. So if yours is pet portraits, if yours is if you're, a great teacher and people love to come to your classes or whatever it is, then you want to be able to lean into that. And the only way to understand that is to keep track. So you're basically, making data informed decisions so that you can drop the things that are not serving you, like the activities you're doing that maybe are just, sucking the life and money out of you, versus things that are actually going to help you succeed financially. So understanding the cost of creating and promoting your work so that you can price it appropriately. So there's so much I could talk about with this, but essentially, you're promoting your work, whether it's just like posting it on social media or putting it out in the community and having a show. It costs money. Even if it's not dollars, it's time, right? So make sure that you're it's all of those little things that we do that kind of cost money or time that we don't really think about until you need it to work for you. So keeping track of these things is really, really helpful. And again, I do recommend having a separate bank account if you can, if you're ready for that. Again, I don't know where you are on your journey, but that's a really great first step, because then you can just kind of keep everything separate. You can kind of like put some seed money in there to start. Maybe it's what if you've sold a couple pieces this year, put the equivalent of that in this new account, and then that's where you start from. All right, so making, right? This is the fun part of art. This is probably why most of us are doing it. But there's a lot of things that you're making as a full-time artist. So you are making artwork. You are likely making some sort of social media or email content. You are making professional documents like artist statements and bios, and those in different lengths, because different opportunities require different lengths of those items. Organizational systems, because once you have some artwork, you're like, oh, I have artwork in this gallery over here, and then, oh, I also have artwork that I need to bring to this event. Well, you need to maybe keep track of where that artwork is. So organizational systems can be really helpful. And then making time for things like administrative work, which again, not super fun, but unfortunately pretty necessary. Making time for networking, which is probably the thing that most artists I talk to like the least. But networking doesn't have to be like going to a networking event necessarily. But it does require you to talk to people. And let people know what it is that you're doing. If you are local, I'm always happy to go to a networking event with folks if they're like trying to figure out like, what do I do? Again, I'm one of those rare artist who's also like extroverted. Um, but it is really helpful, whether you use, like you can start small with networking, but it's really helpful with any business. Outreach, obviously, if you are interested in working with, let's say, galleries, or if you want to like propose a show at a specific venue. And then, of course, studio practice. So what you really need to do if you are hoping to take your business to the next level is that you need to create a schedule. So if you are, let's say, you have a full-time job and you're just trying to build your business, that's fine. Whatever you carve out already in your life, like let's say, you have Saturday mornings from 9 to 12, that's when you do the most of your artwork or whatever it is. Or maybe you're a night owl and you get home from work and then you spend 4 hours um, in the studio or wherever it is that you make your work. Commit to that. And where these other things fall, commit to those things. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, but literally just making room on your calendar, using a calendar if you don't already do that, super helpful. But writing that in there, making that recurring, like every week on Monday from 5 to 6 p.m., I am going to update my artist bio or apply to shows, or that's the time that I'm gonna like check my art email and respond to things. Or that's the time that I'm going to make sure my website is updated, or I'm going to post to social media. Whatever it is that you're doing or that you need to start doing more frequently or more consistently, that's what you should be. That's what you should be doing, is making sure that it's on a schedule somewhere. So marketing. This is another big one for artists. And I would say probably the easiest in is going to be social media for a lot of people. Facebook is it. Here's what I have to say about this. Start where you are. Okay. I went in a little, like, I was like, oh, I've got to be on TikTok. Okay. I'm not on TikTok. I don't like TikTok. It's never been my thing. So I created a TikTok account and I posted, like, I don't know, I probably have like less than 10 things on there. And I just never check it. It's stagnant. It's never gonna do anything because I'm not on there and I don't care. If you're on TikTok, then start posting your work to TikTok. That's where you are. If that's where you spend time already, then that's what you do. I'm on Facebook a little bit. I don't love Facebook, but I do love that you can make Facebook events and get the word out for things. And I'm on Instagram. Instagram is probably my most used platform. The fact that Instagram and Facebook are connected is kind of nice because then I can post to Instagram and I don't really have to worry about Facebook. I still try to do some things separately. The one that I didn't put in here is LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. And you have to think about the way you're, who are you talking to? Who's your audience, right? So Facebook for me is like, that's like local folks and family, like family that lives all over, and then like people that I'm friends with here. So I will put things on Facebook that are like accomplishments, like that I want to celebrate. I do have a Facebook business page that is separate from my personal. And I cross post to both of them. Sometimes it depends, obviously, if it's like a family thing, then I'm not going to post that on my business page necessarily. But just making sure that you're out there somewhere. Because it's great to have a website, and I highly encourage that you do have a website. But if you aren't out there directing people to your website, nobody's going to find you. So you've got to go where the people are, and then bring them there if that's what you want to do. Because just having a website and, again, hoping that people stumble upon it is just, it doesn't work. It doesn't happen that way. So making sure that you have a place to go and get people's attention and then say, oh, and if you're interested in purchasing this, then you can come over here. So the other thing is just talking about this. Okay. Like if you're new and you're deciding to take this next step, and you should tell your family and friends that you are doing this. Like that's the first thing, is announce it to the people that you know and love and say, hey, I'm really gonna make a go of it with this, or I'm trying to expand my art business or whatever it is. Make sure that people know, because if you're not telling anybody, then how are they supposed to know? And this is again, that's like selling thing where it's like, oh, I feel weird, I don't want to tell everybody, but it's like who your of your family and friends would ever be like, I don't know. Like I just trying to think of something. If I said like, "Oh, I'm really trying to do more art and I really like to sell more of it." Yes, there are going to be some people who are like, "Oh, starving artist," but the people who matter, the people who count are the ones who are going to be like, "Oh my God, that's awesome." And some of them are even going to say like, "How can I help?" Right? So then you say, "Well, I'm offering XYZ commission type thing. If you know anyone looking for a pet portrait or a family portrait or um you know, like handmade pottery or whatever it is that is your thing, then you can make sure that, you know, that the more people who know that the more you will come to mind when somebody is looking for a specific thing. Um, Obviously, like local groups are great. And that could be anyone from like local art groups. It could be your local arts council. It can be um, just like we have First Fridays here in Harrisonburg. That's a great way to kind of get connected to people, going to art shows. And then just like getting involved with any groups. Honestly, it could be a church group. It could be you know, like an activist group or whatever. Just wherever you are, make sure that this is something that you are actively telling people that you're doing. Not in a gross, like, hey, everybody, look at me. Like, don't stop everybody at the party to announce this, but like, you know, have conversations. Usually people say, hey, what are you up to? And you say, well, actually, I have started making art and I am looking for opportunities to show it and sell it. And I really, you know, want to do more pet portraits and whatever. So you kind of insert that into conversations where you can, um, where it's appropriate and where you feel comfortable. All right. So these are the things that you can kind of take with you today. Um, if this is something that you're interested in doing, then shifting your mindset from like, I'm a hobbyist of like I enjoy this thing. And you know, it's like the difference between like wanting to cook for people or wanting to cater a thing, right? So make sure that you're kind of making that decision, first of all. If you do want to make more money from your art, then you need to start thinking about it more as a business, um, and make decisions that will help you uh, get income from it. So it's just a little bit more intentional, I guess, with the way that you're approaching it. Um, with your money, tracking your profits and losses, and that just means income and expenses. So like, you know, if my expenses from making this artwork and if you want to assign like a dollar amount to the hours that you spend on like doing certain tasks, then you can really see like, am I making money from this, or is it something that I'm, you know, losing money on, and what can I adjust to change that sort of ratio. um Making sure that you are scheduled, at least. You may not stick to it 100%. And I can say that I don't stick to my schedule 100% all the time because life is crazy. I have a family, I have children, I have things that come up, but I do have like chunks of time in I use Google Calendar that I have those penciled in. So it's like, so I know that I should be doing that, which is helpful, right? Because it's like if I'm scheduling a call for something and I have studio time scheduled, I will try to schedule it for before or after that studio time, because that way I can keep my studio time chunk together. So keeping that in mind and actually like making an effort, even if it's 5 hours a week, if it's 3 hours a week, if that's all you can squeeze out right now, but you know you can do that consistently, then putting it in your schedule and actually like having that pop up for you each week, and you're like, oh, actually I should be in the studio right now. It's just a little bit of that like accountability. from your schedule badgering you and going, hey, didn't you say you were going to be in the studio? Or didn't you say you were going to respond to emails or whatever it is? And then the marketing, the first step to marketing before spending tons of money on ads or boosting posts or whatever is literally just to like connect with people and share what you are doing. It is the most basic way to do things. And especially in Harrisonburg, or in smaller communities, which I'm kind of assuming everybody here is around here or local-ish. Word of mouth is huge. And if you do a job for somebody, whether it's a commission, I do murals, like, you know, people talk and people see things and then they, and they'll think of you. Oh, I saw this, this portrait that was amazing and this, this artist did it. And other people, maybe it's not the person, the first person they tell that to, but maybe it's the second. So there's always that possibility. All right, so that's a lot. I mean, it's some. I don't know. You tell me if you think that's a lot or if that's not enough. Because what's next is that I'm going to be offering my next business of art, the first steps to making your art your livelihood. I'm going to start my next cohort on September 3rd. This is an 8-week class, which has 16 plus hours of live video instruction. So it'll be over Zoom. We'll meet. I will talk at you for a little bit, answer questions. We'll have guest speakers. I have guest experts in accounting, law. So for like contracts and negotiation, I have a gallery owner. I have a consignment gallery or consignment consignment expert person, and then I have another one. Anyway, there's lots of people who are smarter than me and they're very niche areas that are gonna be guests and will allow you to come in, hear what they have to say as it pertains to your art business, and then ask questions for that. I do record each of these and send them out. I do a follow-up email after each class, and that includes homework assignments. So you get that accountability that's so hard, I think, a lot of the time. So there's a lot of step-by-step worksheets and workbooks, and there's checklists, and there's all sorts of templates and tools for you to help you get organized. I share all of my little tips and tricks. So that's coming up. There's only 6 spots for that available. And I'm also adding an optional one-to-one video coaching. So 2 1-hour sessions is an additional thing if you're interested in that. Over those 8 weeks, sorry, I keep having to move this around. Over those 8 weeks, we cover these topics. So we go business mindset first. We do crafting your artist statement and bio. That is something that is daunting to a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. But it is something that you're going to need if you're going to be submitting art to either shows or like art festivals, if that's something that you're interested in getting in. We're going to talk about different ways that you can make money from your art, different art income streams. We're going to talk about photography, marketing, and brand. Pricing your art, which is another sort of mysterious thing that a lot of people aren't sure how to approach. So I'm going to tell you how I do that. We're going to talk about CYA, which is cover your ass, talking about contracts and rights. So making sure that if you are doing a contracted work for for someone, for a client, that you are making sure that all of your bases are covered and that you are going to be, that nobody's going to get screwed. That's the important part. Because like a handshake deal, I wouldn't recommend it. You can do that too. Handshake after the contract is signed. And then we talk about content creation, and then we also talk about getting and staying organized. So if those are things that are interesting to you, I would love to have you there. I wanted to invite, let's see who we got here. Okay. I hope everybody's been able to hear me this whole time. Yeah? If you guys want to go off mute, I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, we have, I think, Julia, are you still on here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So Julia took, oh wait, who else we got in here? Let's see. Okay. So Julia took my class in whenever that was, the spring, I guess February to March or something like that.
I think it ended in April. I don't know. Time's a
Yeah.
blur.
No, that's right. Yeah, time is crazy. So if anyone is interested in that, and asking her questions about the class, I also wanted to let people know that since you're here and you've expressed interest in the class, that you get $100 off the class if you register by August 13th. I'm going to drop the link here in the chat. Hopefully, I still have it. Let's see. Main chat. Let's see. How do I even do this? Just kidding. Okay. Nope, that's not the right one. Hold on. Let me find it real quick. If anybody has any questions for me or Julia, though, go ahead and pop in. Also, artist members will get an additional artist ACV, Arts Council of the Valley. Artist members will get an additional $50 off when you enter promo code ACV50 at checkout. Let me grab that. Let me grab that code, and I will. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm thinking of some right now. I was going to ask Julia about her experience in the
Great.
class.
She's not being coerced, so whatever she says.
Facts.
So
Oh,
what is the thing that you do, Julia, just so I get a frame of reference? Like Laura said, you need to know what you do. What is what is your medium or anything like that?
yeah. So I am a mixed media artist, and recently I've been doing a lot of different festivals and little local pop-ups around the area, trying out a thing called Farfetch Sketch, which has been going pretty well so far. Where I do kind of like caricatures, but they're pretty quick and fun. Um, and I'm just trying to organize myself better as to the variety of service that I provide, because I also do pet portraits. I do commissions. I enter into shows and that kind of thing as well. But after taking this class, I feel a bit more streamlined in my ability to know how to like gauge what is working, what is not. That makes sense. But yeah, I'm a painter.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the second thing I was going to ask is if you were at a certain point, what did you get from the class?
So my last semester of college, because I graduated JMU in December 2024. So I guess it's last December, but anyways, and I took a senior capstone class, which taught me a lot about gallery installation and residencies and all of that sort of thing. But what it didn't teach me was how to apply these skills in a real world setting. So, like, there was a lesson with an accountant, which literally helps so tremendously. And, you're not taught how to like organize or how to use certain tools to help you gain certain different opportunities that are more like geared to you, or how to look for them. So I would say I got a lot out of this class, like an entire semester's worth of knowledge in like just a matter of weeks, um, in ways that have definitely helped my ability on the financial aspect of it and making it feel a lot more obtainable for me to do in the future going forward. I hope that made sense.
Yes, it does make sense.
Okay, epic.
I don't want to monopolize, but I can keep asking questions if anybody else wants to ask.
Does anyone else have a question before Ben goes on? I love questions, so please feel free. I did get that link in the chat as well, so if anybody wants to check it out. So to be transparent, the cost of the class is $1,500. which I know seems like a lot of money, I can tell you that in my 3 years, I have spent much more than that trying to gather this information from multiple different places. And if you think about like the time that you would, there's like $250 worth of tools and things that you can take with you and use. Like I give you like contract templates, I give you checklists if you're interested in doing like a festival and you're like, what do I even need to do all this? All of that stuff is included. It is I feel like the gift that I have as an educator is to take, I kind of sifted through all of the bajillion things that I've learned in these last 3 years and really kind of tried to zero in on the things that made the biggest difference for me. So that, you know, so if you do want to capitalize on this, the $100 off is until August 13th, and then the $50 off is anytime if you're an Arts Council of the Valley member, because the membership for the Arts Council of the Valley is $50. So it's like you've already paid it. And they are the ones who gave me a grant in order to develop this. So with all that said, just so people aren't like, why isn't she talking about money? I know money is a thing, but I also want to remind you that it is an investment, right? So like if you spend $1,500, I can't guarantee you're going to make $1,500 back right away, but I can guarantee you that when you do make $1,500 back, it'll be a lot sooner than it would have been. So okay, go on. If no one else has another question, Ben, keep going. I don't see anyone. Yeah, go for it.
Did you discover any new mediums or how you could use what you do? Like we talk about revenue streams, and I've looked at, Redbubble and all these ways to do art. Was there anything that you tried because of this class that was a new way to market yourself or to do a different kind of art? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say like the biggest one from that is starting a like a newsletter. I'm currently drafting my second one. I just went through like a really hectic move. I kind of like I went to New York for a second, then I came back and immediately was like doing double rent, so I haven't been on top of it as much as I wanted to, but it's helped me because I'm going to start doing like this cartoon called Women in STEM about my frog. So like having a kind of email list that's like going out has helped me stay connected to more people, especially after graduating. It's a lot harder to stay in connection to like peers and my professors. And Instagram does an okay job if you're mutuals with someone, but I never really thought about doing an email list until doing this. Um, and I have been getting like people reaching out going, "When's your next one?" I'm like, "Hot dog, I'm working on it. I'm working on it." So that was probably the newest thing that I've tried, but it also kind of just it helped me realize like, man, I'm going to try something new and I'm going to gauge it from there. And so I think I've been a lot bolder with my moves. Um, like the far-fetched sketch thing is something I probably never would have done beforehand because I would just be like, no, there's no way. But the point is that you never know and you got to give things a shot and test it out and get in the waters, get your feet muddy.
We also have Arnita on. It looks like she has arrived. Arnita also went through the class. So, Arnita, if you're on here and you want to answer that question too, like has there been what was it been like something you've tried, like a new thing that you've tried, or like either a medium or an income stream that you've tried because of the class that you hadn't done before?
Right.
I can't really say I've tried anything new because I basically was trying everything. I just didn't have all the nuggets you gave us, uh, Laura. But I can say that I did do the newsletter, and I've gotten responses back from, email address. That is very important, being able to get uh clients' emails so you can let them know what you're doing, what you're going to be doing next in the future or whatever. So I did do that more because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing it at first. So that's a good nugget that you
Yeah.
shared. And the also using the template for the galleries, like each time you're applying and keeping track of that, that is something that I was doing. So you're reminding me of things that I was not doing that I am doing. So yes, this workshop really has forced me to do the things that I know I was doing them, but I'm really being more pursuing it more.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your medium, Arnita?
Acrylic, watercolor, just all over the place.
Oh,
But
I get that. That's where I am.
yes,
I would say my thing is doing series in different mediums. Like I
Okay.
have an idea and I like doing because I got a degree in studio art from JMU and licensed to teach. I've done a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff, so I like having an idea and then doing many different mediums. But that doesn't always sell because you can have that in a show, but
right.
you don't have like multiple pieces to give out. You take it away from the series and it doesn't really connect.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but thank
Yeah.
you guys for sharing and sounds like it was really great.
You know, Ben, that's a good point because like I said, I'm all over the place, and you don't have a lot to show. So that is something that I have recognized about myself that I wasn't doing. I wasn't working on like a series of of stuff. So now I'm working on a series of stuff. So I have a series of, single art, not all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, and you can get caught up doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and those are definitely like those are things that I don't know if we did touch on those, but that's something that I've been thinking more and more about just in general is like the idea of curation as it comes when it comes to being the artist is like I had a show that was next door to someone else's. It was like two shows. And mine, I think I had 7 pieces, but they all had floral components in them and they were all sort of related in that way. And then the other room had, it was as if it was everything this person had ever made and it wasn't organized in any way. And I just remember thinking like, this show could be so much better if it was curated. It was like they were like, I'm gonna put everything up that I've ever done. And it doesn't, it's like less is more. And so thinking in those terms too, just as far like you can still work in lots of different media as long as you have a theme, right? So like if you have a theme of a subject, for instance, like, if you wanted to do all you just different types of dogs because people love dogs. And you did one in clay and you did one in watercolor and you did one in acrylic, like that still holds together. It still holds up, or even pets, like something broader than that, right? But like it still holds up, but really kind of thinking about your work. Um, it's one of those things that I would recommend is like applying for a show and then really trying to figure out what it is that you want to do with that show. So like those are definitely things that we can talk about, especially if people want to do the one-to-one like strategy sessions, like I'm happy to talk through whatever, issues that you have to see like what should we help you the both of us help you focus on to try to get like again you can do lots of things over your lifetime. Like I dream one day of doing public like sculpture, public art sculpture. That is not where I'm at right now. And I'm not rushing to get there because I feel like I've got I want to kind of get my feet under me. I want to make sure that I've got, you know, some steady income streams that are reliable, and then I can kind of branch out and do other things. So that's kind of the difference. It also depends on what your intention is. Is your intention for this to be a full-time endeavor, or is it just like you just want to have like a side hustle of art business? Like plenty of people do that and they just do that for, maybe they like their daytime job and they just want to do this on the side. So it's a lot of different things. You have to think about things a little differently if you're trying to make it your main income, but that doesn't have to happen right away either. So these decisions you make can be over time, and you can continue to like shift and grow and pursue other things. But I would be happy to help you just figure out like, what do you do right now to kind of get momentum in whatever direction that is that you wanted to go. So. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for former students or for me?
I had a question.
Sure.
So one of the reasons I was interested is because I run an art program for artists with disabilities,
Mm-hmm.
and well, you know her, Angela Carter.
Yes. Yes.
She recommended joining the info session to see if there was anything applicable to running the art program and skills that I could bestow upon some of these artists with disabilities of what they could do.
Yeah. That would be, yeah, I would need to hear more about that. Are you talking about developing that program, or are you talking about the artists themselves creating artwork like for sale, or what are you thinking?
I would say both. One of the goals of the program is to have a curriculum for these artists to expand themselves, but also individually, we have some artists who want to sell artwork themselves and eventually do it independently.
Yeah. Why don't you reach out to me through email, and maybe we can have a sit down and talk about some ideas.
For sure.
Yeah, do that.
Awesome.
I'm happy to chat with you about, I don't know, I love solving problems.
Yeah.
So let's see what we can come up with.
And I'm also an artist outside of the ARC, so I'm interested in the class for myself as well. So
yeah. No, great. Yes. Happy to chat. See what it is that I can help with.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? All right. Well, if you are interested in learning more, I dropped the link in the chat, and that is just to like sort of the page that has all the information in it. And if you think there's anybody else who might be interested, I was thinking I might do another one of these between now and the next class. So I will put out an email if you have friends or anyone else that you think might benefit from this. But otherwise, thank you for sharing your time with me, and I hope something was helpful to you. And hopefully I might see somebody in a class real soon. Let's see, do I have any other things? All right, thanks everybody, and I will be in touch with the recording in case you missed something. Okay, thanks, bye.